Bye bye love, bye bye happiness. Hello loneliness. So I think I'm gonna cry. Goodbye, my love, goodbye. Uh, the love I've lost is my ability to get grants. I thought with the completion of my film, Our Hearts Aren't Disabled, documentary on disability and romance, for which I lost my mind, my income, and nearly my life, the game was going to change for me. In many ways, it has. The film has been shown in universities across the country and in festivals around the world. I've been working harder than ever, continuing my work in stand up and long form prose poetry with three all new, approximately 50-minute shows per year, and yet I can't get a grant to save my life. I don't think it should ever be easy, but as an artist progresses and completes their projects, it should get easier, not harder. I feel like I've been banging my head against a brick wall, so I'm making this video in frustration, also even more so in hope and excitement. Arts NS has been my favorite organization. I've done some great work with BAF and Reachability, JRG Society, NS Leo, the NS Human Rights Commission, probably a couple others I'm forgetting. But my work funded by Arts NS has been most meaningful to me because I've been able to execute my exact artistic vision to the best of my ability. I was funded for the first time in 2013 for an autobiographical theater show monologue called The Shit Show and later named I'm Still Here in the 2018 revival. Then I was funded again in 2015 to have my poetry illustrated. I had a harpist accompany me for the reading that added a lovely musical dimension to it. This was unfortunately a very disappointing project for me because the illustrator didn't treat me well, take me seriously, and either like they weren't capable of doing the stuff or not interested enough in me and my work to do a good job. Sorry to say that, but that's how it is. I've been trying to correct this ever since. My own work has improved a great deal since the show was presented in 2016, partly because 9 years have passed and anybody who applies themselves reasonably to their craft will improve. Also, because after having a psychotic break in 2018 while shooting Our Hearts, my sleep disorder was finally treated with medication in 2019. My work is so much better now because with enough sleep, I can think so much more clearly. Film took a long time, but I'm very happy with everyone who worked on it because they did their best. Really, that's all anyone can ask. I've tried to improve my poetry project at least two times. Four, if you count the grants to individuals and arts equity programs separately. The second round of applications, I answered every single objection. The jury had the first round. Now, this second illustrator might not have had as much of a grant friendly resume as the first, but I knew they were capable of better work. I was told that I would need to apply for two grants, one for me to write the poems and another for the illustrator to illustrate them. Uh, it wasn't really to my satisfaction. I have historical precedent in 2015 of being funded for both aspects as one project. Um, the grants are labor intensive, and I would not have the stamina to do two grants for one project. And for me, it's absolutely necessary they go hand in hand. The image is necessary for the poem, and the poem is necessary for the image. Now, of course, with tons of applicants and limited funds, there may have been better and more important projects to fund than mine. I do understand that. I'm not that much of an egomaniac. Um, I've also been told that I'm a bit too interdisciplinary, so interdisciplinary I can't even say it, and that is a hard sell to juries. Look, while I understand that it might be necessary to limit a project to one category for application, I vociferously object that I'm not as interdisciplinary as it appears. Sure, I do comedy, poetry, have a theater show, and a podcast, but if you boil it down, I really only work in speech and language, broadly communication. I strive to go beyond communication because of the average human mind. I have a very, very different brain. I have like a savant speech memory, but a much less than average visual capacity. I get lost really easily and have tremendous visual spatial difficulties. Um, be pretty common with CP, the visual spatial problems. If you ever see me driving anything more powerful than my scooter, get out of the way and call for help. When I was younger, I thought everyone's mind was like mine. They are not. The vast majority of people are visual learners. So I absolutely need visual, musical, and technical assistance to enhance the effectiveness of my messages. Philosophically, I believe art should be more holistic, specialized, and I'll argue this till the day I die. Really, uh, we're all familiar with the "jack of all trades, master of none" phrase, right? What about "jack of many trades, master of a couple or a few"? Tanya Davis's poem "How to Be Alone," I'm sure that everybody knows around town, right? Was greatly enhanced by film, animation, and music. Uh, this video itself would be so much more persuasive with like music and cooler stuff than me just talking to my laptop, right? But I completely lack that skill set. Going forward with Arts and S or any funding really, I am only looking for money to pay the helpers that will enhance my messages. And if anybody's interested, a few years back, I wrote a response to Tanya's "How to Be Alone" from a disability perspective, called "When Alone Ain't a Choice," that neither Tanya Davis nor hardly anybody else knows about. I'd like people to see that sometime. Um, the biggest reason I'm no longer looking to pay myself is because every time I have gotten a grant, it has severely affected my income. In 2013, I lost a month of assistance. Not too bad because I was still in the black. In 2015, I lost it for 3 months. Again, still in the black, but because it was 3 months, my file got shut down and I had to apply again from scratch. Uh, the assistance came back, but it was late. And then in 2018, with the film, I couldn't afford to pay myself the amount per month that you're supposed to pay yourself as an artist with the total budget the time it would take. So so I wasn't over the limit. So, but instead of closing my file, they clawed me back at 100% rate. Everyone who makes money on assistance is clawed back, but they deem me a business. So while my file stayed open, I didn't make uh, a penny more than 8.45 a month while I was making the film. Suffered psychosis and hospitalization. Thanks to Jagmeet Singh, assistance has improved a lot in the last couple of years, but still not as lucrative as the money one would make per month from an Arts and S grant if you're paying yourself what you're supposed to pay yourself per month. And just for the record, so everyone knows, Arts and S was totally supportive and in my corner all the way with the welfare woes. So they were great. And biggest reason I've been on assistance so long is because ever since January of 2006, I developed a terrible, untreatable urinary disorder. Now, I apologize to take the conversation to the toilet, but I have to do this. So, a couple of years ago, when I went to the urologist, I had to keep score of how many times I was going per day. 3 days in a row, it turned out to be 22 times. That's 22 in like 16 or 17 hours, right? I don't pee while I'm sleeping. I don't have accidents. I'm lucky. Along with 22 times, they can be very difficult to get. Worse so in social situations. Uh, the two worst aspects of all are not that. Uh, the first worst aspect is like, say if I have to hold it in for like 10, 15 minutes too long, or unfortunately more than that sometimes, I'm extra sore, painful, and dysfunctional for like several hours. And more recently, in the last couple of years, something that's been happening more and more is that it will like stop before it's finished. And um, if it starts doing that a lot, I start to feel pain in my kidneys. And I've always been told like the only danger you have to worry about is if the pee flows back to your kidneys. And I feel like that's happening. So I feel like it is very possible that I will die many years before my time. Not a guarantee, but it's possible, right? It's possible. So that aside, I was very lucky to have Tom Fitzgerald, filmmaker. on my podcast. And Tom's interdisciplinary too. He does theater and television, and probably a couple other things as well. And Tom is a great guy and a fantastic artist, right? He had a really sage piece of advice for me and people trying to make it. He said, you know, what you got to do, you got to save your pennies, hop a plane, meet people at film festivals because, while they may be incredibly moved by your work, they're unlikely to fund it without a personal face-to-face connection. And that made a lot of sense to me. Like, I'm pretty sure that's the way it is. But of course, like, I was too crestfallen to say, yeah, but Tom, like, with that being, like, I'm not well enough to do that. Um, so, I can do my art, albeit with great difficulty. Um, this is why I've been doing small host concerts and staying away from bars and clubs. But I can't really network, like I can't be out and about meeting people the way I'd like. My health won't allow. So, with that big long introduction of my art history and my struggles, let's talk about the proposed changes that I want to make. First, comedy has to be a category to choose from. Has to be. It's a legitimate art form, and it's not literary or theater. There's a comedy industry in town, primarily with Yuck Yucks and Halifax Comedy Fest. But there are also several pro-am or amateur shows at various bars several nights per week. I managed to start middling with Yuck Yucks in 2010, kept that going with about 2 to 4 weekends per year till approximately 2017. And I would very happily go to work again anytime, but lacking the ability to network, I can't hustle or beg for it anymore. With the Comedy Fest, I placed in the top five for one-liners in the local contest in both 2011 and 2012, but couldn't win, couldn't get the first place, so I couldn't get the spot. Right? Always a bridesmaid, never a bride. Um, Boiled down from like 15 to 5 too both times, so I made it as far as you could go without actually winning. Uh, if Arts NS had a comedy category, then maybe I would have stuck to one discipline and not confounded juries with my interdisciplinarity. But if I had a full-time career in comedy, I probably wouldn't have been able to pursue poetry, a theater show, a podcast, and a film. Failure has always pushed me to something greater. Off the top of my head, I can think of a few comics who would benefit greatly, greatly from a comedy grant who haven't benefited as much as they should from the Yuck Yucks or Comedy Fest platforms. The next thing I would like to do, and this is like the least important of all the things. This is not, it doesn't have to be, but I would like to abolish annotations. Um, Annotations did not exist until sometime after I applied for my film grant in May of 2018. This is just conjecture on my part, but I feel like maybe Canada Council or some other grants have these annotations, and it kind of feels like the thing you would do to make a grant more granty, like more legitimate or something. But I think they make an application more difficult and dense, and I can't see the practical purpose. See, like you've got a long and short project description, your resume, examples of work, schedule of work, and a budget. Must we absolutely have annotations? Applications should become more dynamic and accessible, but not more difficult to understand. Speaking of dynamic and accessible, what about an optional oral presentation for those of us who trade with our tongues? This should not be absolute, of course, but if someone is doing a spoken piece and may give poor spoken examples, maybe there are more qualified speakers to find. For a spoken project, maybe the majority of the weight of their application should be placed on the speaking piece one has done in the application to show what they can do, right? Uh, I've only dealt with arts equity and grants to individuals, except for one time failing to get a very deserving artist, the Established Artist Recognition Award. And again, maybe there are more deserving artists, and maybe my application wasn't good enough. But I have zero doubt about the artist's merit and their contributions to Nova Scotia. So, for grants to individuals and arts equity, we know that the max is 15,000 per year and one project per year. You only get funded once per year, right? That's sound. That's great. We don't know though, and we really need to know is how much money approximately ArtsNS has available per deadline, and approximately how many applicants there are per deadline. I feel applicants need to know this information so that they have a rough idea, we're talking approximates, of their chances of approval. I also feel the public needs to better understand the jury sessions. It's not as simple as just sitting on a jury because people like me aren't well enough to easily do that, right? I think it'd be a great idea to film all the jury sessions, right? And post at least a few on the website as examples. Understand that jury decisions are final, but each applicant, approved or declined, should be able to watch their complete jury session on YouTube. This can only increase public confidence and help applicants better understand the process. One of the things that's improved tremendously over the years is the online applications. Because of my restrictions, I have like dexterity problems too, right? As well as mobility and peeing and sleeping. And, I would always have to get someone to fill out the application for me, take it down to the office. That barrier is gone now, and I'm in tremendous favor of the YouTube platform for video examples because I can use it easily. Also, the tutorial video that Artenes has on YouTube on the applications how they want them, it's bang. That's great. I couldn't have done it that well. It's 3 minutes and some seconds, right? And I watch it at least 75 times while completing an application. Um, if brevity is really the soul of wit, then clearly with this big long form thing, I am a moron. Um, the final change I'd like to make is to revolutionize the final report. I understand the need for like a financial report, but the questions, no matter how probing, I don't think adequately speak to the art itself. The final report should be the completed project itself, or if you like, just like in the application, forgive me, I forget some of the specifics, but like up to 15 minutes of recorded material or like however many pages and images the application maxes out on. So you get a like same as for the jury samples to look at, right? So maybe it's too long for the full thing. But I feel that the applications and the final reports are conjecture. A completed project or a sample of it is the reality. Yeah, I think it'd be really helpful if juries wrote small reviews on the completed project. A good project shouldn't guarantee funding next time, nor should a poor project disqualify funding forever. But they should factor in help juries and applicants make sure the best work gets funded. Um, you know, again, art is a circle, not a line. Um, I, 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 I believe in these things so deeply philosophically. I have my film restricted for a couple of reasons, but anyone at Arts and S is welcome to view it along with my podcasts. And I will say to the podcasts, not everyone is a home run for sure, but there are enough gems in the 29 that I can stand by as really good quality interviews. You can also watch many of my poems and stand up too if you'd like. And the most recent, the I'm Still Here theater show revival 2018, that's up there too. So look, just want to say like closing here, I know everyone at Arts and S works really hard. I received extra help on my film grants, and to be perfectly honest, I do have a flimsy film resume. Without Arts and S, the film would never happen. I will be forever grateful, even if I never get funding again. Um, If this is valuable at all, I would ask you to consider a labor trade where I could receive funding to pay my visual, musical, and technical helpers to enhance the things I have to say. Look, if someone has terminal illness, by all means, fund them over me. Their time is definitely limited. In my case, it's only possible that my time is limited. I'm furious and I'm worried about it, but it's not a guarantee. I might still live another 30, 40 years, I hope. Um, I have been so very fortunate to be funded 3 times for 3 very different projects. And look, I really only need to go to the well like 2 or 3 more times max for my whole life, like aside from getting other artist recognition. Um, I that this would be my life's work. I believe so passionately the things I've said. I truly hope they come to me, whatever happens to me. But I want to remind everyone, this is helpful to you, it's helpful for me to think of this all the time too, that failure is so tremendously important. If my last couple grants were approved, I would never have become so galvanized, electrified, and inspired to share my story and suggest these changes. I wish everyone all the very best, and I'll give you the reverse Elon Musk here. Arrivederci, dreamers. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening.